stop. Slow motion. I wanna see.
Now, you may have heard of a very small rocky outcrop island about 15 nautical miles off the coast of Iran called Kharg Island. What is its significance, and why are the US making plans to potentially try and seize it? Hi, my name's Mikey Kay from the BBC's Security Brief, also a former strategic military planner in the British military.
This guy looks like he was a former military planner. He's some like James Bond, Jason Statham looking mother sucker.
Why is Kharg Island so strategically important to the US? Why are the US trying to seize it? Well, this is why. 90% of Iran's export crude oil comes through that island. 90%. And the reason for that is it's effectively a terminal. And the terminal allows very large tankers that can carry up to 85.
Man, when it comes to war, the most powerful thing that you can have is good geography. That's a big reason why no one's really bothered to screw with America, because we're just so far away from everything else, right? It's just Canada and Mexico to the top and the bottom of us, and we're pretty cool with them, you know? So, you know, but other countries have, you know, strategic advantages as well. It's like, if all the oil has to pass through the terminal that is our territory, then guess what's not going to happen? You're not getting cheap oil. Shouldn't have attacked us. You know, that you would think that they would have thought of that before they did it, but
million gallons of oil to be able to come up to the terminal quite easily and then come back down the Persian Gulf and out of the Straits of Hormuz out to China. China is the main user of Iranian oil. So why else is it important? It's also the economic lifeline to the Islamic Revolution.
what are these, ICE agents? I'm just joking, but these guys might be a little bit nicer, to be honest.
Oligarchical, or the IRGC. And if you take that island and you hold it, then you're effectively cutting off their lifeline, their ability to be able to conduct war. Now, there's been a lot of chatter, both in open source intelligence and online, about the Americans drawing up what's called a concept of operations, a CONOP.
A concept of an operation, like a concept of a plan.
And a CONOP basically means different courses of action or different ways that the Americans could use their military capability to try and seize that island. So how does that work? Well, we all saw the 160th Night Stalkers in Venezuela. That wasn't just about a helicopter assault operation to pick up Maduro.
It's still incredible to me that Trump wasn't impeached for this or anything. Like, this is so dangerous. It's like, I mean, and I've been kind of watching videos about it today, and this isn't really a new thing for Americans to just fuck around in another country. But the way Trump does it, like he does everything else, is just super special, and how stupid it is, you know? It's just special.
There are a lot more capability and assets involved. You had suppression of enemy air defense. That's aircraft that effectively can look at the radars of anti-aircraft missiles, and basically as soon as the radar turns on, they can launch a missile off the rail to target that air defense system. You've then got intelligence, so Reapers, MQ-9 Reapers, drones effectively with really sharp electro-optic cameras and forward-looking infrared cameras that need to be able to sanitize the area. And then of course, you have the helicopters themselves. The helicopters would need to be probably the MH-47 Chinook. That has the biggest range and also can carry the biggest troops. The troops involved would likely be Delta Force, which is the same unit that took part in the Maduro operation. And then you have the MH-60 Black Hawk helicopter. That's more about suppressing enemy fire. It's more about protecting the MH-47s as they take Delta Force and the Special Force operators in to seize the island.
This might be dumb, but it's like, how come countries don't like custom make their helicopters, right? Like, couldn't like the military just like hire like people that build these helicopters or design these helicopters to specifically design them for America, and like maybe keep them top secret so people aren't aware of like the exact striking capacity of like each of these vessels? I'm sure that would either be impossible for various reasons or that's already happening, but we don't know what they got. You know what I mean? I feel like that's been Iran's power, that it's like we don't even know what the hell they got. They got these fucking drones that they made for like $20 to like blow our shit up. It's actually not hard to blow things up. You know, I've been doing it for thousands of years.
So how would that work? Well, it's 140 nautical miles from Kharg Island to the coast of Kuwait. And helicopters generally travel at about 120 knots, which is 2 miles a minute. That makes it a 70-minute transit from the coast of Kuwait to Kharg Island. However, when the aircraft get there, it's not like they're dropping off and then they're returning straight away. They would have to drop off, and then the MH-60s would likely go into what's called racetracks and orbits. Now they would be there to lay down suppression of enemy fire in case there was Iranian Guard Corps on the island that were looking to defend it.
Yo, why would anyone join the military? Yo, I just don't fucking get it, man. I just don't get it, man. Yo, call me just like a soy boy or some shit, but like, why would anybody sign up to like shoot people for a living? Now I know for a fact that like a lot of people just have like they need the benefits, or in Iran like the key to having a decent life is probably being in the military, unfortunately. But in America, like come on, there's other ways to get the bag, gang. There are, yo.
All in all, with a 70 nautical mile transit to Kharg Island and a certain amount of loiter time, let's call it 40 minutes, and a 70 nautical mile transit back, that's 3 hours in the air. So we're now looking at refuel options. While there is an airbase, or certainly a runway on the island, there would be fuel at that airbase. But if I'm IRGC and I know the Americans were coming, I would probably contaminate that fuel. So as a US operational commander, I wouldn't trust it. But there is another option. Both these helicopters, the MH-47 and the MH-60, they have the ability to air-to-air refuel. What do the Iranians have that could potentially defend that island? Well, conventionally, they've got ballistic missiles and they've got anti-shipping missiles. But the problem with ballistic missiles is that you don't want to cause collateral damage to the oil export infrastructure on Kharg Island. The Iranians are the masters at asymmetric warfare, asymmetry. So they don't want to destroy things, they want to degrade things. They want to draw this out for as long as possible. And they're using...
Yeah, because the same way that America is greatly benefited by the fact that we're a democracy, we're in war, our enemies know they can exploit that, because they're like, okay, if we just make it so life in America is really shitty, then you lose your support and people might vote you out. People might hamstring you. You know what I mean? We don't have a supreme leader here, or at least not, we're not supposed to, right? So it's like, they're like, okay, like if we can just like unilaterally cause pain, as like the term that everyone's throwing around, like maximum pain, then there you go. Like America's going to have to quit it.
Low cost benefit ratio. And what that means is that their equipment is very simple and it's mass produced,
Yep.
and they can produce it easily. So in terms of an asymmetric threat, what does Iran have? Well, it's got what's called go fast. They're fast attack boats, fast attack craft. You might even see two people on a jet ski, one of them driving and one of them with a rocket propelled grenade on the back.
Okay.
The point being is they're hard to target and there can be lots of them. What else does it have? Well, it's got the Shahed 136 drone. That is ubiquitous. The Iranians are thought to have over 50,000 of these Shahed 136s. Once again, not hard to
50,000? Damn, yo. They can strike 50,000 times. I think they're shorter range though.
target as a singleton, but when you put them up in swarms, it can overwhelm air defenses. And then you've got mines. The problem with mines is that the Iranians have a lot of them. They're not particularly sophisticated, but what they do is they
don't have to be. Yeah, this is where Americans always underestimate the Middle East. That's like they're crafty and it really doesn't take much to kill someone. Yo, it just has to go bang bang. All right, the shittier it's made, the more deadly it probably is, right? Like they don't give a fuck. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like all they got to do is just blow a hole in your ship. Like it's really easy to get to incapacitate a water vessel. If there's a hole in your ship, you can't do shit. It's going to the bottom of the ocean. Like, you know what I mean? It's like they really underestimated these people. Iran isn't Afghanistan. It's a sophisticated government, whether you think they have backwards customs or not.
It's a massive problem for any US maritime patrol vessels coming into the area. And why is that? Well, because as soon as the Iranians say that they've mined Kharg Island, it's then up to the US to prove that the Iranians haven't. And that takes a lot of time, manpower, and resource.
Yeah, it's like, is it even going to be safe for them to like check the water for mines? It's like, that sounds like a full-time job. And especially if the Iranians don't want them doing that, they need to have complete control, which, oh my God, probably means that there's going to be boots on the ground. Right? Well, it looks like we have some proof of that. Coming right up.
Now stop. Slow motion. I want to see.
Just minutes ago, the president saying the U.S. military, quote, totally obliterated every military target in Iran's crown jewel, Kharg Island. The president just speaking. What did he say?
Well, before we get to what he said, I do want to go to this breaking news because moments after he spoke, he talked about Kharg Island, and this is really a big deal. I mean, 90% of Iran's oil exports go through Kharg Island. There had been questions as to why the United States or Israel had not bombed Kharg Island, particularly given.
I'll bet you they didn't even know about it, bro. I'll bet you Pete Hegseth just never heard about it. Damn, I mean, that's kind of an L for Iran. Like, you're really going to put all of your eggs in a tiny little basket that is Kharg Island? What the fuck?
Its economic strength for Iran. It is a place, it is kind of a sensitive area, and it's clearly something that the U.S. could have targeted. President Trump had been asked questions about this. He kind of evaded the answer earlier today. Now, here's what he said. Because there is so much oil infrastructure in this area, he specifically says, I have chosen not to wipe out the oil infrastructure on the island. However, should Iran or anyone else do anything to interfere with the free and safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, I will immediately reconsider this decision. There is a
Okay, well, first of all, if Donald Trump says it, assume that it's like 99% lies, right? They probably did strike it. As to why he left it open, I mean, it could have been a mistake. Like, you know, if Pete Hegseth fucked up and they wasn't able to actually destroy their oil capacity, you know, Trump would say, oh, you know, we meant to do that anyway.
Why this is so important. Earlier today, I was talking to White House officials. They said there was going to be actions as early as this weekend, as early as this evening, that were going to show how the U.S. was working towards trying to get these ships through the Strait of Hormuz, getting the Strait of Hormuz opened again. That is clearly what they were referring to, was these explosions in Kharg Island, a place that had seemed like it was going to be off limits. Clearly here he is saying, open up the Strait of Hormuz or else you're going to see more bombs dropping and more strikes in the area. Now, we did also hear from President Trump just seconds before he sent that Truth Social post saying that those Navy escorts were going to start happening soon. I was told by White House officials they were going to have to clear that area. They have to make sure it was safe for the military. They were going to have to get the resources there. But he did say the word soon. And one of the more interesting things we heard him say is that he has officially taken any sort of timeline off the table. He was asked specifically about his 4 to 5 weeks comments, and he said that he couldn't give a timeline anymore.
You hear that, boys? That means that we're in for another forever war. Yay! Forever. Let's fight forever.
So I know that we had been reporting that the administration had been saying this, but this is, you know, Donald Trump here officially saying that 4 to 5 week timeline is off the table, and instead replacing it with a big question mark.
Talk to us about the significance of this moment and that threat, too, that Kristen told us about, of the president basically saying, hey, I left a little bit in terms of oil infrastructure, but if you don't do what I say, we'll come back.
So, Erica, Kharg Island, you see it on the map there. It's about 25 miles off the coast of Iran, very northern part of the Gulf. It is the valve for Iran's oil economy, and of course, they're almost wholly dependent on their oil economy for their own government revenues. The Gulf is very shallow, and Kharg Island, that small island there, it's about 8 by 9 square miles. It has the deep water ports where tankers can pull in, get filled up, and then go through the Strait of Hormuz and onward to where they might be delivering their oil. Of course, Iranian oil is illicit oil. It's under U.S. sanctions. But that is basically, without those terminals.
Yo, America's really out of pocket with all these sanctions and stuff. Like, we really try to strangle other countries to death. You know, we're currently doing it to Cuba. We're preventing, like, medical care from getting to the country and shit like that. Oh, 11 chatters. Yo, drop a comment. This is the most chatters I ever had in a video. Thank you.
And without that island being operational, Iran cannot export its oil. And that's why it's so significant. I take this as the U.S. saying, okay, you guys are trying to use this pressure point, which the new Supreme Leader declared it yesterday in the Strait of Hormuz. We have pressure points too on you. So, you know, knock this off. That's what they're trying to say. But I also see, Erica, with the deployment of a U.S. Marine Force, the possibility of more military operations on that island. I think that's highly risky. The Iranians can respond to that. But clearly, bottom line, this conflict is not coming to an end anytime soon. It was
Certainly not.
Yeah, like, this conflict isn't coming to an end anytime soon. Like, even if they are able to mount Kharg Island, the Iranians will still fight, you know, and if they occupy Kharg Island, like it seems like they'd have to, then the Iranians are gonna pull up, like get off of our shit. So what's left here?
6 weeks was said at the beginning. That's basically the CENTCOM plan. I think it might go on a little bit longer than that.
And the president, as Kristen was just reporting, taking that off the table. When we look at this moment and the Kharg Island piece of it now that is being brought in, I mean, Brett walked us through the significance of this. But the fact that, as he pointed out, we have potentially this unit of up to 2,500 Marines and sailors going in. They are also well versed in combat operations.
Yes.
With all of this playing out tonight, is that how you would envision perhaps these forces being used? Is perhaps needing to go to Kharg Island?
Perhaps, but I'd be reluctant to put boots on the ground in this area for a number of reasons. The Iranians can come down and they can block the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is a particularly unpleasant place to operate in any time of the year, particularly at night. Having been there during the Iranian hostage crisis on a nuclear aircraft carrier, it's a problem. And, you know, boots on the ground, I've been through this number of wars, I've served with a bunch of people who spent a fair amount of time in Hanoi as visitors under very unpleasant circumstances. And
This seems like a sweet old man, but he's probably perpetrated like so much suffering and evil. And look, like, you know, when I was a kid, I used to really have like respect for the troops just because I grew up in post 9/11 America. And I was just under the impression that we always love the troops and like, you know, whatever. But man, I was about to say F the troops, not F the troops. Because at the end of the day, it's like these are just normal people that are following their orders, that are trying to create better lives for their families. And some of them are under the delusion that they're protecting America, right? So not F the troops. But fuck like the military mentality, right? Like everyone that's in the military should go in knowing I'm working for an evil organization, and any kind of fucking malicious action that they try to direct me to do, I'll directly oppose, right? Because that's my duty as a patriot, to make sure that the American army isn't promulgating evil across the world. You know, that's the only way that I feel like people should come into the military, okay? And it's okay to be proud, because there's definitely been times where the American military has been the heroes. Rare circumstances, but it has been done, all right? You know.
great heroes. But if we start putting boots on the ground, how do we ensure that they're protected? How do we ensure that they get out if we have to? So that's the
Yo, Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump would throw their lives away. Let's be real here. I mean, it's not even a secret. Like, Pete Hegseth has like a whole book on his fucked up military philosophy. I mean, he's been asked by reporters. It's like, yeah, like a bunch of people died. Like, how do you feel about that? It's like, yep, this is war. You know, I guess you would need to have that mentality, but it's screwed up. You know, it's screwed up. Hopefully, he like spoke to their families directly. You know, a good Secretary of Defense would say, Mr. President, please, under no circumstances can we do this.
Now stop. Slow motion. I wanna see.